It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from many and all corners of the nerd universe. We find out more about them and take your questions. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture. We are back. It is so good to be back. We have missed you. I hope you have missed us. And in that case, our guest for this episode of And I Quote is an artist extraordinaire. She does some of the best artwork in the entire galaxy, much less the universe, maybe much more the universe. I can't remember. Which one comes first? Is it the chicken or the egg? We'll find out more about that later. But please welcome Halcyon Designs own Kelly Beckham. Kelly, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing well, So thank you so much for being here. Greatly appreciate it. Now, if you have any questions for Kelly as we go throughout the course of this show, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. The producer is going to be keeping an eye on it as you go throughout the course of the show. But in the meantime, let's focus on this for just 1 minute here, Kelly. What were some of your favorite movies growing up?
Growing up, so we were a big Disney family. So I really did. I loved a lot of Disney growing up. Like Pocahontas was a really big one, which I feel like is overlooked quite a bit. Beauty and the Beast, like these are all really awesome movies growing up. Big Disney family, love the music and all that stuff. And then I remember when The Phantom Menace came out, I knew obviously the original trilogies. I love the original Star Wars trilogy, but like actually going and like seeing Phantom Menace on like opening day, that was amazing. And then just, I already loved Star Wars, but it made me love it more at that point too, and heading forward. And I don't know. I'm pretty welcoming of all sorts of movies. I just enjoy sitting and chilling and getting the entertainment thrown at me. I like that. So.
No, that's fair. That's completely fair. A quick follow-up to that. Now that we fast forward some years later, it's been a number of years since the prequel trilogy has come out, starting with Phantom Menace in 1999, then it was Attack of the Clones in 2002, and then that led to Revenge of the Sith in 2005. Looking back, do you still love those three films, or do you look back on them and think, you know what, maybe some of this stuff doesn't work?
I love them from a nostalgia point of view because I remember seeing them when they first came out. Like, you can't not love, like, when Duel of the Fates starts playing, you can't, like, get, like, goosebumps. Like, it's there. I remember it. And I love Obi-Wan, and I love Obi-Wan's arc and Obi-Wan's story. And just diving into him is really great. And just seeing some of the development of the Empire, I do like that aspect of it. Of course, there's some cheesy stuff in there. Of course, but that's Star Wars. There's always a little bit of cheesy stuff. Like, you even look at the original trilogy. You've got like trash monsters and Ewoks and crazy stuff, and it's great. I love it all.
Speaking of Ewoks, they look like cute teddy bears, but they're actually cannibals. So
they go feisty.
Yeah, especially when they bang, the stormtroopers' heads over with the rocks, during that sequence on Endor. But anyway, that's a story for another day entirely. But yes, Duel of the Fates is great. Darth Maul is a great character. The 2-on-1 fight at the end of Episode 1 of The Phantom Menace is one of the best scenes ever in the history of Star Wars. So there's no question. There's no question. I will watch Duel of the Fates sequence play out each and every time. That music is so good.
So good.
John Williams, we love you, man. He's good. I mean, He's getting to be what now, like 80-something, 90-something, and the guy's still kicking. I mean, John Williams, my hat's off to you, man. Seriously. Yeah, I'm not wearing my hat today, but here it is. But with that being said, flip side of the coin, though, what were some of your favorite TV series growing up? Anything stand out to you?
Trying to think. Oh, wow. My brain is not awake. Let's see. What kind of TV shows were? I know I watched a lot of TV. There was always just like kind of Disney stuff, Disney Channel stuff as I was like growing up, like TGIF, like Friday night TGIF lineup. You've got like Boy Meets World and Sabrina and all that fun stuff. I I wasn't super, super big into like some of the cartoon lineups. As an adult, I kind of went back and checked out some of the stuff, but it was just not, I grew up in a house with, two sisters. We did a lot of more of that kind of girly, kind of shiny, sisterly kind of stuff. So that was more of what I was focused on then. Growing up now, I appreciate a lot of different things and some of the darker sides of TV and whatnot,
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. Maybe there was some Powerpuff Girls thrown in there. I don't know.
My younger sibling really liked Powerpuff Girls. I was a little on the older side, but I could appreciate it because that was kind of the fun thing about Powerpuff Girls is like there was always like some sneaky, more adult humor. They got really good at, and then like you would see that even as those cartoon companies like developed more because I think a lot of that animation studio went on later to do like My Little Pony and stuff, and that's the type of place where like you're still seeing that adult humor and that appeal that like adults can have, but it's made for kids too. So I appreciate that both as an adult and when I was younger.
Yeah, there you go. Well said. Whether it was Powerpuff Girls, Sailor Moon, stuff like that, I'm not sure. Playing with Barbie doll? No, I'm kidding.
I had Barbies.
Did you? So that leads me to my next question. What were some of your favorite toys?
I had Barbies.
Or favorite collectibles, I guess. Was it just Barbies?
No, I played with anything. I mean, real young, we had so many toys. Like we would have like miscellaneous buckets of like dinosaurs, and they were never a set, but it was always just this over the year collection of dinosaurs, whether they were like my older siblings, my younger siblings, like that would just collect. And same with like giant buckets of Legos. This was before like Legos had super intricate sets, and so it was just like this giant yellow bucket, and you were like, I'm going to build the same house 40 times. So there was a lot of that. We had a lot of Barbies, Polly Pockets. Like this is the 90s, so it was all that kind of pink and sparkly stuff for us. But
right, making sure you get off the school bus. Plenty of time to go play with your friends in the neighborhoods. Yes. If you lived in a cul-de-sac, if you lived in another type of neighborhood, whatever it may be, because everyone lived in different places in different environments, respectively, of course. But do you remember I don't know if this was for you or not, but do you remember the little Pogs? You remember those?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember Pogs. I had a Pog machine that, like, you could, like, take pictures from, like, either like the comic strips or like magazines, and you would like press them together and make like your own little Pogs. And then you'd have the Slammer Pogs and the Pog mats. Oh yeah, we had that.
Goodness, I had a container, like a Pringles shaped container for Pogs. It was a lot.
Oh yeah.
It was a lot. For those who may be wondering, they're these little shaped discs. Feel free to Google them after this broadcast. But I do want to let you know that we are talking with Kelly Beckham of Halcyon Designs here on this very good episode, I should say. And I quote, don't forget to like and share this video with all of your closest friends because they're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this episode. I guarantee it. Did you play any video games at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, growing up, we had Nintendo, like NES. We would, play through Mario, Zelda, all of that fun stuff. There was always like Looney Tune games. We always had like these Looney Tune games. Like those are a strong memory for me. And then, I remember when we like got PlayStation 1, that was a big deal. Yeah.
I remember getting mine for Christmas, and the first two games I got were like, I think it was one of them was an action game, the other one was Jet Moto, which was jet skiing.
Yeah. I remember those. I mean, and then there was like Crash Bandicoot was a big one. Do you remember the medieval games? It was like he was like a knight, but he was dead, and so he was just like a skull knight running around. They ended up having two of them, and like that was a staple in our house, was these medieval games. He was great. That was a lot of fun.
And then the next day, you and your family went for a drive, and you went to a place called This Is Medieval Times.
Yeah, that's right.
So we all went to the restaurant, right? No, I'm just kidding.
We were a nerdy family. We would do some fun stuff. I've been to my fair share of Renaissance festivals, so.
All right. when it comes to a magical world known as reading, do you have any favorite books or comic books that stand out to you?
All right, now you're talking my language. All right, so books, yes, 100%. I am a very avid reader. I read every single day, and fantasy is my main genre. I don't think it started with The Hobbit, but that's definitely one of the first books that like I really like. Some series like there's the Belgariad series by David Eddings is a really good one. This is kind of that more kind of classic storyline, and I remember reading some of those and just liking that overall tale of like the young boy who doesn't know that he's, there's a prophecy type thing, like, the very prophetic kind of thing. It was a very basic storyline that you see repeated over and over again, but it was kind of my first introduction into that. And then I had read those books and I was really into them. And somebody was like, it was the first time like an adult had recommended a book to me, and they're like, "Have you read The Hobbit?" And I was like, "Nope." And like that was it. So I read The Hobbit, read through Lord of the Rings, and my love of fantasy just hasn't stopped. Like that will continue on forever.
So which line would you say that you use respectively in your everyday vernacular from the Lord of the Rings franchise? Is it one does not simply insert whatever stuff here, or do you use the one where you say, "You shall not pass"?
Those are both great lines, and they're definitely in my vernacular. But they're not the most used ones. I would say some like second breakfast would kind of be one that we use a lot, or second something, like, if we're doing something where I'm like, "Oh, we had one, yes, but what about second breakfast?" We'll do that. Or we have cats, and so cats are insane, and they like to run around, and they'll like claw onto the edge of something, and so like just like their head is sticking over in their claws, and I'll always be like, "Fly, you fools," when they do that. And so there's constant Lord of the Rings happening in my everyday life.
One does not simply have one shot with Kelly Beckham. Anywho, yeah, I just came up with that on the fly. Maybe it'll work later on. Maybe it won't. I don't know. If anyone has feelings about this or thoughts about it, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. And also, if you have any questions for this incredible Lord of the Rings fan known as Kelly Beckham, let us know in the comments or the chat. Either way, we love you for it. Now, when did you decide to become an artist?
So art has always been a thing in my family, and since I was young, I mean, there was always, I grew up, my mom was watching Bob Ross videos and painting along with them. She was always doing that kind of thing. Not so much me, but like my father and my older sister are very, very musical. My younger sibling does a lot of art and does like textile stuff now, which is really fascinating. And we always did theater. So like any sort of art you could think of, we did find our ways into. So it was always present in my life. And it wasn't until like I always really respected the techniques and everything that people would like I say real artists, but like professional artists would use. And I never had the patience to understand how they got there. And I would just be like, all right, well, I don't have the mindset for that. I don't think I'm a person who's suited for that kind of imaginative like lifestyle. And then, as I got older, you realize that, yes, there are some people who can envision something and take it out of their mind and put it on a piece of paper or canvas. And that is insanely amazing. And I'm not necessarily that person, but I do have talent and I can find a different way to do that. So that's where I got into hand lettering. I started doing a lot of hand lettering work for grocery stores and some local restaurants. And as I was doing more and more of that, I was like, this is cool. This is kind of like an old art. Like sign art is a very fascinating thing. And there's actually a whole history, like a very in-depth history of sign art that I've now gone down just for my own interests and stuff like that. So looking at a lot of those old techniques has been really fascinating. And I've been able to like sit and think, and it was probably about 3 years ago, maybe a little bit before COVID, when I started to realize this is something I'm good at, but I don't love making signs about food and bananas and stuff like that. I don't love doing that, but I love science fiction and fantasy, and I think I can make these two things that I do really love combine. And that's where I was like, well, if I were to do signs in Middle Earth, I'd be making a sign for the Green Dragon or for the Prancing Pony. And, you know, if I was making signs on Tatooine, I'd be making a Mos Eisley Cancina sign. So these things started popping into my head, and I was like, I don't see these things that often around. So like, let's explore, let's have some fun with that. And it takes a lot of practice and a lot of patience, but I still get the kind of a little bit of gratification that I need as I'm seeing things being built, where I struggle sometimes when artists are doing something really abstract. I'm like, it's very cool that like they do these things and then they turn it, you see it progress at the end. And I'm like, I had no idea that's what you were painting until the end. I need to be able to see what I'm like working towards. So it's just, I've always been artsy, but it's taken me a while to find my niche, you know?
Understandably so. And I do want to take a moment and acknowledge, thank you so much for those of you who are watching this and have liked and have shared. We got someone in the chat. Mary Beth Dugan chimes in. She says, hi, Kelly.
Yes, hi. It's my mom.
Oh, it's the Mama Bear. Okay, Mama Bear.
Hi, Mom.
Oh, she's so proud of you. She gave this video a like and a heart emoji. Somewhere around there, I think. So nice, family supporting others. It's great. Now you mentioned something about transitioning from doing signage for stores and stands and things like that. I'm going to bring up something for our listeners as well as our viewers. This is an example of your work. Now this says "Move to Exciting Hadley's Hope." I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
So tell us what this piece is and what is the process like for putting something like this together.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite signs. This is inspired by the Alien franchise. Hadley's Hope is the main planet that the Aliens movies takes place on, and because they return to it in the second one, which is LV-426 is the planet. Hadley's Hope is the kind of community that they started building there. So this is that kind of example of, I feel like if you think back to like the 60s and 70s, you think of like a Stepford wife kind of thing where you would see like "Move to beautiful Stepford," these like billboards on the side of like green hills. And that was kind of my thought, being like, all right, well, they're trying to colonize this planet. So let's make that kind of style of like "Move to beautiful Stepford" and like turn it into something that you would see in real life in the Aliens universe. And so, that's exactly like where my brain goes. And when I'm developing a sign like that, I do a lot of research. So I looked at a lot of civilization growing ads from the 60s and the 70s when they were trying to get people to move into more rural areas and expand into different locations. And so I use a lot of inspiration from that. I research and make sure I have all my information correct when it comes to the franchises that I'm looking at, because I love doing these arts, but I love seeing the fans get excited about something that they can connect with. And it's sometimes the connection is subtle. Like if that's hanging on a wall of a house that you walk into your friend's house and that's hanging on the wall, you can be like, that's pretty cool. It's a piece of art. Even if you don't know what it is, you're like, that's pretty cool. But if you do know what it is, you're like, that's an Aliens thing. That's really cool. So I like to be able to find the balance there between what's actually aesthetically pleasing as decor, but that like also speaks to that little like nerd flutter in all of us.
Absolutely. And also, once again, in the chat, Katie Lynn Leach chimes in. She says, Kelly is amazing.
Oh, I got my fans here. She's my best friend. So,
hey. Oh, she's one of your fans and BFFs.
Yeah.
Isn't that special? No, it's great. Believe me, 2 thumbs up, no question about it. So we have that. We also have another example here of your work. I want to let the listeners know. We're looking at a bunch of different kinds of boxes that contain certain items. I believe they're D20s, they're die or dice, however you may want to phrase it. So how long does it take to put pieces, or these boxes, I should say, like this together?
So these are it's hard. I mean, I try to think of like the time frame it takes me to do some of these. The boxes I've gotten much better at mainlining because I'll do them in pieces. So I don't build the boxes like from the ground up. I buy the pre-made, but they're like blank wood boxes. But I take them all apart. I sand them. I paint them. I seal them. So I do it all in stages. So like I'll spend a day to be like, all right, today I'm taking apart all these boxes and I'm sanding them. And then like another day I'll take all these boxes and I will stain them colors and find like the background colors I want for them. And then I go by box and I decide what color I want to use for dice and like what kind of fun, nerdy, kind of snarky saying I like to have on some of the boxes. So it depends. Obviously it depends on some of the level of detail on some of these. Doing the actual design, I can do pretty quickly. You see like the small boxes just have one little dice. That's not too hard. I can kind of whip those out. And then the bigger ones have more. I sometimes get really drawn in when I'm like, look at all these pretty shadows and reflections. But it's hard for me to say an exact amount that it takes me to do any of those things, even in, and that includes even my signs, because I will sometimes do them in phases, because I'll have like, I think I've got like 7 signs going right now, just because I start in different phases and like try to do different processes. And that's the best way I've been able to stay on top of actually like cranking them out, because I don't allow myself to get too situated in like, all right, what materials do I have around me? Like, I'm like, all right, today I'm doing line work. I'm just going to do all the fine details and the lines, like, and that my brain can focus on that and head that way. So in regards to your question of how long things take, it's really not a simple answer. But I kind of can, things are getting much easier for me as I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and the muscle memory is there, and I'm getting much quicker about these things.
Well, that's just excellent. With that being said, more examples are being shown here of your work. Now, this is kind of a different variety of things here. Yeah. So what do we have here? I see something involving Lord of the Rings. I see something involving reading. What are some of these pieces identifying with?
All right, so we've got, let's see, so we've got some Lord of the Rings. That's the Prancing Pony, the Borgans and Burks, Leaky Cauldron. Those are kind of Harry Potter things. I've got a little bit of horror going on there in this one. This is, you see Pennywise the Clown is up there. That was a new design I did. Same with the Lament configuration. That's the Hellraiser cube. So those were kind of fun, because I got to do like a lot of fun research into like, the horror fans are really into their stuff, so I have to make sure that my research is done right for them. Hawkins High, that's Hellfire Club, that's Stranger Things, which is a fun one. And then, we've got some Mandalorian Star Wars stuff down the bottom there. So I like to diversify what I've got, because I'm interested in a lot of different things. And I know, that I've got fans that are interested in a lot of different things. So
definitely nothing wrong with Baskin Robbins having 31 flavors. Once again, we are talking with Kelly Beckham of Halcyon Designs here on this episode of And I Quote. If this is your first time here, welcome. Don't forget to like and share this video with all of your closest friends, because they're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote. I guarantee it. With that being said, if you have any questions for Kelly, whether it's live or after the fact, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. We're going to keep an eye on that as we go throughout the course of the show. What are some of the challenges about being an artist?
So a lot of it, for me, one of the biggest things is it took me a very long time to call myself an artist. And I don't know if that's imposter syndrome or something along those lines, but because I feel like I didn't necessarily fit that mentality of, people would be like, oh, you're an artist. Like, do you want to talk about the Van Gogh exhibit? And I'm like, I don't really, it's very cool, and I respect the fact that other people are really into that, but that side of it doesn't really attract me that much. I like I like having things that are pleasing to my eyes and structured and make sense. And so I was like, well, I don't think I have the brain to be an artist because I'm so structured. And so when I realized that like an artist didn't have to be inside this little box, like I was like, oh, okay. So a really big struggle for me was realizing that like, oh, I am an artist. Like only very recently have I been able to say, yes, I'm an artist. Like that's a big thing. Other struggles are just taking care of your body, because that is something that starts to really wear and tear on you. I've got many wrist guards and compression gloves, and I've got these like wrist guards that you put in the freezer and then you could take out and like freeze, because I've had like, you know, like the tendons down here will act up. So it's just really learning to take care of your body, and because that's my instrument, you know, like that's what I use now. So those are some of the biggest struggles, and just staying active. Like I know a lot of people who, including myself, who will hit a slump and will be like, I don't have any inspiration right now. Like, what do I do? And the way I get through that is because of my process of only doing a certain thing. Like I said, I've got like 7 signs going right now, and they're all in different stages. So like if I have a day where I'm like, all right, I have a show coming up, I know I need to be productive, I don't have a ton of motivation, I'll just be like, but I've got a bunch of boards that need sanding, or I've got a bunch of signs that just need blank paint on them. I don't need to be creative today, I just need to be productive. And so finding that balance of, you know, struggling to be creative, struggling to be artistic, and then actually being productive with it is challenging. And it's something that I've been finding over time, like, all right, this is the best way for me to handle this. And it's different for everybody, the way that everybody handles, you know, dry spells of creativity and all that stuff. So that's just the way I've been able to handle it. But it's challenging. It's for anyone of any type of artist, not even just like graphic art, but, you know, musicians, all that fun stuff.
Absolutely. And one thing you did mention was imposter syndrome. We all struggle with it. It happens to everybody. Yeah. Everybody. Doesn't matter what occupation you're in, doesn't matter what field that you're in, doesn't matter if you're doing this, if you're doing art, if you're doing engineering, whatever it may be. Everyone struggles with it. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
But we can get through it, because we got to remember, you know, it's not about, oh, can we hit this many followers as this guy, or can we hit as many commissions as this person? No, it doesn't matter. As long as you love what you do, it's not called work. Let's try to keep that in the back of our minds, folks. Just try to do that for you. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. But that being said, on the flip side of the coin, though, what would you say are some of the rewards about being an artist?
Nothing beats just the endorphins that release when some stranger walks up to you and goes, that's really amazing art. I would like to give you money in exchange for something you created. The very first time that happened to me, it was insane. It was this feeling that I haven't felt before of like, I had to be like, is my mom like hiding behind this bookshelf over here, like paying you to buy my sign? Like, is this what's happening? No, it's a stranger coming in and being like, I see your talent and I really like what you've produced with it. Here is an exchange of money for what you've created. And that feeling never goes away. Just seeing other people appreciate something that's come out of my mind and come out of my hard work. And then I can also just kind of like, because a lot of my inspiration comes from nerdy fandoms and stuff like that, then I could just geek out with people and be like, I love this too. Like, you know, we can be nerds together. And that is so rewarding, like just so rewarding. And not even from a monetary aspect, but just like that feeling of that feeling of being verified as like a person who's working hard, and that's being seen by someone and they're appreciating that. So that is very much worth it and an awesome thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also something I want to bring up, you said with that and the rewards you get from it and the things you do to celebrate with fellow nerds. I mean, honestly, all we can say to that is,
Yes! That's awesome!
it just is. It just is. It really, it just is, folks. It really is. No, my goodness. And this is the thing. And just to give the listener or the viewer a little behind the scenes story here, Kelly and I met at a local convention. This was in the state of Maryland, just to give you guys some context. I've been to a lot of far points and a lot of shore leaves that take place in Maryland. Okay, so just to give you guys some context here. Okay. So when I came in one year and I saw Kelly at her booth and she had the setup, she had everything going on, and she was doing her thing, right? All the vendors were talking to each other, they were communicating with each other, and they were trying to support each other and sell. I walk over, I see her booth, and I thought to myself, well, this is different. I think I've seen this before. This is a bit odd. No, it's not odd, it's just interesting. And I walked over and I thought, this is different. I like this. This is unique. This is something I don't really see at conventions. Because I see, don't get me wrong, listen, I love artists. I think independent artists are some of the best and most creative people in this world, right? But when you see someone that stands out and has a style of their own and just knows how to put their own, what is it called, stamp on something? Am I saying that right? You put your stamp on something, you put your name on whatever it is. I thought you're thinking to yourself, this is nice. I like this. This might be good to, whether it's hang up on my wall, whether to put in my collection or put in a display room, right? So when Kelly and I met, I thought, this is good. I got to check this out. And then immediately, I was pretty much after 5 minutes, I thought I was hooked. I love this artwork. I think it's great. I think it's some of the best artwork in the world. I think it's special. It's unique. And not only that, Mary Beth Dugan chimes in and she says, I'm super proud.
Thanks, Mom.
See, once again, we're getting not only getting the fan support, but we're also getting the family support as well. And that's just as important as anything else. So that's what she says. I'm super proud of you. By the way, Mary Beth and Katie Lynn Leach are here. Thank you so much for being here. We do greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like and share this video with all of your closest friends. But yes, after looking at examples of your work here on this particular set and seeing stuff, because you do commissions, is that correct?
Yeah, I've done commissions for you.
See, a fun fact. See, there's your behind the scenes story. So she, and this is on our Instagram account, by the way. This is at It's Nerd Culture, and you can find it also. And all the links are located within the description of this video, where you can follow both Kelly and I on social media. She did a commission of Tron Legacy, which I think is a criminally underrated film. And she also did another one where it has my fandoms written all over. And this is all on the Instagram account. So if you want to go back and look at this after this show, remember, after the show, go ahead and do it. Look it up. Some of the best artwork I've ever seen.
Thank you. Honestly. Yeah, I love doing commissions and custom designs because, sometimes people see the designs they do and then it sparks something in them that is not in my mind. And so they reach out to me and they're like, this is what's in my mind. Help me make this a reality. And I was like, yes, I love this. And, sometimes it's like with your fandom one, it's putting together in an aesthetically pleasing way this collection of different fandoms. And sometimes it's something completely new and different that I haven't looked into before. I did one commission a year ago for someone who wanted a restaurant sign from a manga, and I cannot remember the name of the manga, but the restaurant was called like The Hungry Bug. And so not knowing anything about this manga, I just kind of got the opportunity to dive in and kind of do some research and see what this restaurant was about and why the fans really liked this. And so it's very cool that I get to experience new things. Just meeting other people who are inspired by my work of what they might want to have on their walls or in their home. So I love that. And then in the same kind of thing, like with your Tron Legacy one, that was the first time I'd done one in the Legacy colors. I did more in the classic Tron, kind of very 80s looking style, but you were like, let's Tron Legacy this up. And I was like, let's do it. I love this. So it's fun, and it's a fun challenge for me.
There you go. And I know Jeff Bridges is watching this show because he watches every week. Listen, nothing against the original Tron, but Tron Legacy, in my opinion, opinion, is a far superior movie than Tron. I'm sorry. I know it was groundbreaking for the time. It was some of the first visual effects and special effects technology that was used in that film. But for me, I watched it once and I'm thinking, I can't go back to
Do you think the original Tron would have been better if Daft Punk had done the soundtrack?
If they did the score, probably. I believe, what was the year 1982 that the original Tron came out? If that was the case,
I don't remember.
I believe it was 40. Can you believe that film was over 40 years ago? My gosh. So some of us are getting too young for this business. But don't worry, I wasn't around when the original Tron came out. I'm not that old. But Tron just doesn't hold up for me. I watched it once just to see where it all came from. And I'm like, okay, got it, good. Can we move on to something better, please? And then Tron Legacy came out before I started watching the original Tron. To go back and watch the original Tron. And then Tron Uprising, which was the animated series on Disney XD, which, by the way, if you have never seen that animated series, go. I'm not saying this is a sponsor, by the way. Go on Disney Plus after this show, binge watch Tron Uprising, and call me in the morning, okay? Because it is some of the best animated. It's one of the best animated series of all time. I'm not even kidding you. And by the way, Katie Lynn Leach chimes in. She says, "It's so cool to build a nerd community. Awesome to learn and build interest in nerd worlds."
Aw. Absolutely. That is good, like a good thing right there. Always trying to build more new nerd communities and nerd love and support.
Well, in the words of Siskel and Ebert, we give that 2 thumbs way, way up. Have there been any other special memories for you from being at conventions, whether you were there as an attendee or there as a vendor?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I remember all of the conventions I've been to, both as an attendee and as a vendor, just because every convention is different. Even if it's the same convention, just through different years, there's always something a little different. There's always different energy and different people to meet. So there's, it's hard to. There's just so many memories. But I will say something fun, and this is not from a vendor standpoint. This is just attending standpoint. I have done some venturing into cosplaying, and that's kind of a whole different kind of fun thing. Especially regarding Mandalorian stuff. That's a pretty big thing in my family. My husband and I both do Mandalorian cosplay, and so that's always memorable. It's just he has his full Mandalorian gear. I've got the full armor gear. And that's just a fun time. So, anytime we're out in costume and having a good time is always memorable.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Do you, when you're in your cosplay, do you speak as the armor? Do you drop the Emily Swallow voiceover? Do you have some lines that you say in that outfit, or you just keep yourself completely silent?
No, I talk. So this credit goes to my husband because he was doing the Din Djarin cosplay before me, and so he kind of had figured out a lot of the problems. So he had put fans in the helmet, and then also we have a mic set in the helmet so people can hear us. And I feel like I need to watch more of Emily Swallow because she's amazing anyway, but I cannot quite get her voice quite right. I do drop it down, and I do a very kind of just stoic, like, this is the way, kind of like a little echo. She's got kind of like an echoiness to her. I kind of love it. So I do obviously there's a lot of this is the way when you're cosplaying as a Mandalorian, and it's just a lot of nodding, because even as the armorer, while she does tell like a lot of like lore and we'll talk to the other Mandalorians, she listens a lot more than she talks sometimes. And so I do a lot of nodding, a lot of just like acknowledgments of stuff. But yeah, until a kid comes up and wants to take a picture, and then we're like, yes, come on in, little foundling. Like, let's have a good time.
Has that happened a lot when you're at conventions cosplaying? Do a lot of kids come up to you and say, hey, I really like your outfit. Can we get a picture together?
Yeah, it does. I mean, and I'll be with Din Djarin, and they go to him before they go to me. So
yeah. No, he is kind of the MVP of the show. It's kind of named after him. By the way, Halcyon X. I wonder who that could be. Chimes in and says, "This is the way."
This is the way.
Yeah, gosh. Speaking of which, have you caught the season premiere of Mandalorian this week?
I have.
What are your thoughts on it? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm strictly a fan of no spoilers, so I won't go into it. But I thought, first off, the armorer opened the episode, like opening sequence episode, like my girl was there.
Clanging and banging, clanging and banging. Yeah.
So I did love that. I love seeing her. I thought it was an okay episode. It wasn't the standard I was expecting, but it's promising. It's gonna, it's setting up for a promising season. I felt like it focused a little too much on Disney moments. I don't really know how else to say that. But it was fun though. Ryan, you froze on my computer. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. We're having technical difficulties. Oh man, Disney heard us talking. Oh. Is it just me? Hi, and I quote, "This is Kelly Beckham from Halcyon Designs." I'm hanging out while Ryan gets his technical issues fixed. So we're just going to do it live, right? We're talking about some Mando and some art and having a good time. And I could just keep talking about that. Yeah, I thought the episode was really interesting as the first episode of a season. Obviously, we've got to build up some stuff after after Grogu came back and he has to go to Mandalore, which I'm excited for. I want to see what's going on in Mandalore. I appreciate some silliness in the Star Wars universe. I thought there was a little too much silliness in this episode, but I'm excited to see where it's going forward. So, yeah. And I wish. Oh, I think maybe I can see comments. Hey, I can see some comments. So hope you guys are doing well. Look at all that fun stuff there. I can also see private chat. Let me see how our host is doing. We're just going to do it live. We're going to see what's going on here. So that's how I felt about Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1. Katie Lynn Leach says she needs to check out the new season. Yeah, I mean, it just dropped. I think on Wednesdays or Tuesdays it dropped, and we like forced ourselves to like watch it right away because I wanted to make sure we wouldn't hit any spoilers, and I'm glad we did because just got to make sure you get in there and avoid. You loved it, but it went too fast. I thought it was. I could see that. I mean, we jumped around a little bit, and obviously it's got to build up and set us up for the rest of the season. But I did like seeing aspects of it. Like I liked seeing the Mandalorians with the armor and Paz Vizsla getting their clan back together. It was interesting to see Bo-Katan and like what had kind of become of her. Yeah. You guys want a break? I have a kitten here. We'll do a kitten break while Ryan gets his stuff going. For those of you listening and not on the video, I've got a super fluffy mate. Oh, Ryan, you're back.
I am so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We had some difficulties in the backstage area of our studio. I apologize to everyone who is listening, to everyone who is watching. I am so sorry.
Hey, I ran the show.
That's great. At least one of us knows what we're doing. So I am so sorry, folks. I'm gonna have to look into some alternative methods here for certain operations of the studio. But I will. Mary Beth says, I loved it, but it went too fast. And then Kaylee, welcome back, Ryan. Thank you, Katie. It's good to be back. Hopefully this won't happen again. I don't know. But we were saying you had other special memories from being at conventions. Once again, this is And I Quote with Kelly Beckham of Halcyon Designs to catch everyone up. Now that we are back, hopefully this won't happen again. I apologize for the inconvenience, but I am Ryan of Nerd Culture. She's Kelly of Halcyon Designs. We are talking about favorite memories of being at conventions, whether you were there cosplaying or as a vendor. And you mentioned something about kids coming up to you, taking pictures with you. You also mentioned how you tried to have Emily Swallow, who portrays the armor on Mandalorian's accent, but it is very difficult to do. It is not an easy thing to pull off. And before something went a little fizzy, you were mentioning how you didn't want to go into spoilers about the season premiere of Mandalorian, but you said, and then we got cut off. So you were saying that you felt like the season premiere was fine, but not great. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I talked a little bit while you're disconnected, so your fan base knows what I feel about the first episode of the season. No, I thought it was putting a lot of things together to build the rest of the season, and you could tell that that's kind of where they're going. But I just feel like it wasn't up to the standard that I had kind of expected from Jon Favreau and the last two seasons we've got going on there. So
no, I can totally see that. Without going into spoilers, I watched it this week too. Thought it was fine. Great opening. I thought the 10 minutes was fantastic. That was one of the best we've ever seen. Armor clanging and banging, making a new helmet. And I actually thought it was, minor spoiler, thought it was a flashback, but it was actually present day.
I was watching it with my husband and I was like, is this the past? And then they answered that question. I was like, no, it's present day. This is happening. Okay. So
so that's
no spoilers.
Minor spoiler, but other than that, solid episode, but I thought it was a bit of a filler episode too.
I feel that.
I think it was filler. It wasn't exactly great, but it was still good. It had its moments. I mean, Mando drawing his pistol and doing whatever is always a fun time.
For sure.
And the armor telling us stories, or she's making new helmets for us that are never going to be made for me, because I don't know if my head can fit in one of those helmets, but maybe it can. I just need to get a custom fit helmet. Maybe I should talk to some prop makers about that.
I know a few.
And you know a few. Yeah, we should talk about that in the backstage area when this thing is not being busy. But with that being said, goodness gracious, this show has been good, but also off the rails in a funny way, isn't it? But I do want to let you know.
I embrace the chaos.
But I do want to let you know, Kelly, that this episode and every episode of And I Quote is indeed powered by our good friends over here at Poddex. Now, Poddex are the hottest new tool for podcasters looking to have more meaningful conversations or gamify their podcast. You shuffle up the cards, you ask a question, you let the content roll. You can get yours today at poddex.com. You should use the promo code Ryan10. That's RYAN10, Ryan10 for 10% off your order. You're not going to miss out on that. So Poddex wants to know, does your name have a special or significant meaning? And if so, what?
The name of my company, Halcyon Designs.
Whether it's that or your actual name.
Oh, well, my actual name is Kelly Beckham. Kelly is a good, strong Irish name. I have a lot of Irish blood in my family. So I love the name Kelly. I love my Irish heritage. So that always means a lot to me. My company name is Halcyon Designs, and that is that's kind of been a work in progress name for a little while. And I'm not gonna lie, I stole it from my husband a little bit, but it works for me because Halcyon is a type of bird. It's from Greek mythology, and it's a bird that the myth kind of goes on, but at the end they're turned into a bird, and there's a lot of promise and opportunity. It symbolizes a lot of promise and opportunity in our lives. And so I really liked that aspect of the myth and where the bird Halcyon comes from. And then it ties in a lot with science fiction, because a lot of science fiction ships and things like that, they'll utilize names of birds for naming their ships. And so the Halcyon is one of those that exists in the Halo universe. And then also it's now a big Star Wars thing, because a lot of people have come to me and they're like, oh, have you been on the Halcyon cruiser? And I was like, no. All right. I picked this name before the Halcyon Cruiser was announced, just so you know. But anyway, but I like that now I can just be like, oh yeah, I got a Star Wars tie-in too.
Rock on, rock. Well, this is the way. But
This is the way.
I'm not going to get enough of that. I also have a T-shirt that says that, so I'm not going to get enough of it. Because you can use it for pretty much anything. It doesn't matter if you're talking about Star Wars, Mandalorian mythology, the culture, the respect of it. You can also say having pizza every night for dinner. This is the way. So
This is the way.
you can use it for so many different scenarios. You see what I mean? It's amazing stuff. If you could make one of your hobbies into a profession, which one would it be?
I mean, I think I am kind of doing it, and that's
You're
this
kind of
art.
already doing it.
And that's this art. I taking the plunge and deciding like this is a hobby, and then me being like, no, this can be a thing, like was amazing. And I'm so happy doing it. I'm so happy just kind of going forward and doing something I love, but finding the balance of like, yes, I love it, but I don't find it a chore. I don't find it a task. Like I know that it's something that I have to do and I have to be productive in it, but I've found the way, and it's taken a long time to find a balance between being artsy and then being, making that a job. And so I love that I did that, and that's it. That's what I've done.
Rock on, rock on. If you were given $1,000 to spend on your closest friend, what would you get them?
That's a great question. Well, I have some amazing friends in my life, and some really great people in my life. And I feel like if I had $1,000, and if I know my friends so well, they would not want me to spend that $1,000 on anything superfluous. They would want me to like give it to like a hospital or a charity or something something that's like tied in with something that they believe in and something that they really care about. So like, everyone has family members and whatnot that go through, whether it's physical illnesses or mental illnesses, and we constantly need like support for that type of stuff. And I know in a heartbeat, if I was like, hey, I've got a spare $1,000, what do you want me to do with this? They'd be like, we would love for you to help support, just some of these foundations. And so because I have some really amazing people in my life, I know that that's the type of thing that they would go for. It's probably not the most fun answer, but knowing my best friends, that's what they would want.
No, there you go. There you go. If you were designing your own fragrance to represent you, what would you call it? Second fragrance?
Let's see. It would have to be, the answer to this, it would be a fragrance to get rid of other fragrances. That probably sounds really weird.
No. It's okay.
Because we have a brand new kitten, as when you were disconnected, I had her on stream for a second. And she's a sweetheart, but man, she is stinky right now. And I would love a fragrance to cover up the smell of cats and all that other stuff. But
there you go.
Just a little potpourri or something. I don't know. I'm going to trademark that.
Mm-hmm. No, there you go. There you go. And Katie Lynn Lynch responds to something you said about the previous question. Well said.
As one of my closest friends, I feel like she would have appreciated that answer. So,
well, there you go. According to her, it was well said. So you got it. Would you accept a fatal mission in exchange for a lifetime of support for your family?
Oh man. Yeah. If I could plan and get my affairs in order, yeah.
Enough said. Enough said. That'll do it for that when it comes to our good friends over here at Poddex. Well, I want to say thank you for your patience amidst the craziness. And something, I don't know what was going on back there in the behind the scenes area of my studio, but hopefully we will fix it for future broadcasts. But I want to say thank you to Kelly Beckham of Halcyon Designs for being our guest on this episode of And I Quote, and thank you for bearing with us, shall I say, because this is the way. Once again, I'm never going to stop saying it. Thank you.
I will always respond.
Kelly, thank you. I'm sorry?
I will always respond.
Well, that's true. I gotta remember where I am and who I'm talking to in this video. But with that being said, thank you for being here, Kelly Beckham. Where can the person watching or listening to this follow you on social media?
So on Instagram and Twitter, I am at Signs by Kelly, and you can find me at as Halcyon Designs on Facebook, and then my website is signsbykelly.com.
Rock on. Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for bearing with us amidst the chaos and being our guest, not only our guest, but our co-host of this show. Plus, we got a cute fur baby a little while ago, and I missed it. But we can talk more about that in the backstage area. Once again, my name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Don't forget to like and share this video with all of your closest friends. Follow us on all forms of social media simply at It's Nerd Culture. The links are located within the description of this video, where you can follow both Kelly and I on all forms of social media. I want to let you know that we are this close. We are this close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. So make sure you tell all of your friends, your coworkers, the cats, the dogs that are living together, mass hysteria, to subscribe to our channel. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we're going to throw the biggest party that Dwayne The Rock Johnson and YouTube.com have ever seen in their entire lives. And also, we're going on tour this year with Comic Cons. We've already been to Farpoint, which Kelly and I saw each other at, which was a lot of fun, by the way. A lot of fun times. But you can catch us at our next stop on our Comic-Con 2023 tour. Is going to be at GalaxyCon in Richmond, Virginia, March 24th through the 26th. I am going to be there with some friends of mine. We're going to have a great time. If you see us, come up, say hi. We'll grab some selfies. I'll sign some autographs for you free of charge. No, you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay a nickel or a dime. Nothing like that. We're all friends around here. We support one another. If you want to know more about that, follow us at It's Nerd Culture. In the meantime, once again, thank you for listening or watching these episodes. We cannot do this without you and your support. So in the meantime, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe. And remember, life is better when reading. And also, this is the way.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Sweet dreams they placed on me inside my mind. Chance my truth, twist the past, my memories are fading fast. Am I still missed? Who do you want me to be? Am I still missed?
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.